everyone, welcome to a Mindvalley Masterclass on 10x Fitness. I'm here with Ronan Diego, who is from Brazil, and with Lorenzo Delano, who is joining us via Zoom from South Africa. Now, I don't know how you found this class, but I know why you're here. So many people spend more time in the gym and get far less results than what they actually should be getting. The promise of 10x is that you can get remarkable results in 30 minutes a week. Now, I know that sounds like a crazy claim, but we're going to show you the science behind it. Now, another reason people show up here is because they want to age gracefully. They want to stay in great shape as they get older. So I'm 45, going on to 46, okay? And I've done 10x with my father when he was 70. He's now 72. And so what I want you to know is that this is great for people of all ages. We're going to show you some of the studies and the statistics on strength gain and body shape changes depending on age. But one of the most interesting things about 10x is that if we are measuring strength, we found that the older you are, the better the strength gain you are seeing. And so whether you're here to grow in strength, to age gracefully, to have a fitness program that works for you, to optimize your fitness time, you're in the right place. Now, what you're going to learn in this masterclass is going to be directly applicable in your life. So I want you to have a pen and a notepad ready, get ready to take action. We're going to take you through these 6 exercises, and we're also going to bust some of the biggest myths on fitness. That's coming up. Before we get there, what we have to do is show you the science on why this works and share with you the story of why we're so obsessed about 10x and why it's blowing up in the Mindvalley community and in the fitness industry. Okay, so let's get started. First, I want to share with you a picture of myself at the age of 40. Now, I share this picture with some humility because I always wanted to be fit at 40. And from the time I was 30 onwards, I joined the gym. I was going to the gym twice a week. I assumed I was eating healthy. I hired fitness trainers. But I woke up at 40 and I looked at my goal list. And my goal list was to have this sexy beach body at 40. And this is what I looked like. I realized I wouldn't even feel comfortable taking off my shirt at the pool in the condo I lived in. Now, this was a big psychological hit for me because I ran a personal growth company, Mindvalley. Now, Mindvalley was focused on mindset, on entrepreneurship, on spirituality. It had nothing to do with fitness, and the shape of my body reflected that. And that's when I decided I don't want to age like this. So I decided to commit $1 million to go deep and research and analyze and find the best people out there who could help me get the body of my dreams. And I figured if I could nail this, if I could figure out how to deliver this to myself, despite everything I'd gone through over the last decade, this would probably be something that would interest other people too. Now, take a look at this picture. This picture was after I trained on 10x using the exact same methodologies we're going to teach you in this masterclass. Now, this picture was around 18 months into the training, so I don't want you to think this happened overnight. It was 18 months. And people always ask me, well, were you on any sort of diet? Well, at this point, I was eating healthy. I was still drinking a glass of red wine every night, but I do want to give a full disclosure. Before taking this picture, I had been off alcohol for 2 weeks. Everything else was just the same. But when this happened, when I went through this transformation, my life changed in multiple ways. And this is what people don't get about fitness. When you do it well, it changes a number of things about you. Number one, it's going to change how you look. This is a picture of my face taken by the same photographer before and after 10x. You can see I look significantly younger. My confidence shot up. I'm frequently asked to speak on stage, to do interviews on TV, and I found that the number of speaking offers I got, the number of interview requests I got went up. My social media, which had been sort of like flatlining, shot up to millions of fans. I got bigger offerings to give talks and to write books. But the most remarkable thing is that I felt more energized every single day. Now let's talk about how we discovered 10x. Well, it turned out that it was sitting in front of me all along. You see, Mindvalley employs close to 300 people around the world. We build the world's best personal growth programs. And it turned out that one of the most brilliant minds in Mindvalley had already figured this thing out. His name is Lorenzo Delano. He's our guest today, dialing in from South Africa. Now, what people don't know about Lorenzo, and Lorenzo, I'm going to brag about you for a second, is that Lorenzo is a genius in human transformation. Lorenzo dropped out of school at the age of 13 to self-educate himself. He became so good at understanding every aspect of being human, physiology, mind, spirituality, brain, that he became the man behind the scenes for many of the world's leading personal growth programs. He worked with Mindvalley to develop our program with Alan Watts. This is a picture of him with Alan Watts' son, with Ken Wilber, yes, the legendary creator of integral theory. Lorenzo was by his side as he created this program. With Ben Greenfield, who was voted America's #1 fitness trainer and one of the leading biohackers today. Lorenzo also worked with leading minds like Stephen Kotler, with myself. And it turned out that Lorenzo was so good at designing all of these programs because he was an incredible researcher. He does his own research, analysis, and meta-analysis, and he'd been secretly hacking his own body. Check out this picture of Lorenzo's body transformation over 3 years. Now, what many people don't understand about that is that Lorenzo, as he transformed his body, he was only working out 30 minutes a week. Lorenzo, is that correct?
Yeah, 30 minutes a week, sometimes less. And sometimes I would only go to the gym or have time to go to the gym once a week.
Now, was there a reason why you were only working out 30 minutes a week?
Yeah, of course. So the first reason was that I got injured, and that led me to research a more efficient methodology. You see, there are two types of people. You have people who are going to love exercise and they tend to overtrain. Then you get people who hate exercise and they do nothing. But I wanted to know, what if we can create a system where people who need to exercise, because whether you want to or not, there's a minimum you need to do to stay healthy and strong throughout your life. So I wanted to know, how can I get the people I love in my life to do the minimum they need to stay healthy and to stay strong? But then I realized that this applied to myself as well. I didn't want to spend hours in the gym anymore. I wanted to look for an efficient and a safe way. And I say safe because I got injured doing very high volume weightlifting based training. Now, that doesn't mean no one should do those things. It's not an ideal starting place for the average person. So I set out to discover what were the mechanisms of strength development. And through research, I realized that it's actually possible to get the results that the average person wants in only 20 minutes a week. And for me, I couldn't justify spending more than 20 minutes when I knew that only the first 20 minutes would actually give me most of the things I wanted or needed. I couldn't actually justify spending more time in the gym if I knew I already got what I needed, or 80% of the result, in only one workout a week.
And that's a key thing. 80% of the results, right, is coming in that optimized 20 minutes. We're going to show you some studies later that show you that even when you're doing sets, the second set only gives you 46% of the advantages of the first set. More on that coming up. But Lorenzo basically had developed this whole approach for himself because he was an expert in transformational theory. I told you he is the man behind many of the greatest personal growth programs out there. Now, I didn't know this. I was asking around, looking for someone who could recommend a great physical trainer. And it turned out Lorenzo had already developed these methodologies for himself and was training other people I know. So I went to Lorenzo and I said, teach me your secret. Show me how to get the body that you have. And when Lorenzo told me that he was doing it in 20 minutes, my first thought was, what utter bullshit. He's probably just genetically adapted. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he's part human, part buffalo. I have no idea what South Africans eat. But then Lorenzo gave me a list of books to read, and I was shocked. As you go deeper into all of this fitness research, you see that the studies are out there. And studies are saying things such as 10 minutes of high-intensity interval training can give you the same results as 50 minutes of regular exercise. In this book, Body by Science, Dr. Doug McGuff talks about 5 specific exercises that give you a total body transformation in just 20 minutes a week. Other research in books such as 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss talk about the concept of recovery and sleep and how so many people overexercise. But the message was clear. Too many people overexercise. There's an optimal window. And if you can do the right exercise within this optimal window with precision, you get incredible results. And this is why people all around the world are developing 10x bodies. Now, as I went through all of these books, I got more confused than ever because these books provided a ton of research, but I didn't actually know how to translate the research into how I was working out in the gym. So I got Lorenzo to train me. And that's when my body transformed. Now, I didn't stop there. I was so excited about the results Lorenzo was getting me through this 10x fitness approach, especially because it was improving my productivity at work, my thinking, my creativity, my energy levels. I decided to bring Lorenzo to train my entire company. This is what happened. Within 1 year, my company, Mindvalley, in our office in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, where we employ 220 people, we were awarded by American Insurance Association, AIA, an award for being the healthiest company in the city. This is direct empirical evidence through insurance data that 10x was transforming people at scale. And so we thought, well, this is something that we got to bring to the world. So we decided to launch studies around the world. In Croatia, in Barcelona, in Tallinn, Estonia, in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and we saw remarkable growth. In one study done with people under 30, we saw that on average, working no more than 40 minutes a week, they saw an average strength increase of 26%. And it was after 4 years of these studies that we created the 10x system and made it available to the world. As we did these studies though, we noticed something. Some people got remarkable results. Some people did not. Some people couldn't bring themselves to do the 20 minutes because let me tell you this, I don't want you to think those 20 minutes are easy. You got to push yourself. And to push yourself into this 20 minutes because it's a concentrated workout, you got to train the mind. And then you got to create habit formation. You got to create identity shifts. So some people were getting extraordinary results. Some people were giving up. And we realized that it was more than just a sequence. It was more than just a movement. It was more than just a specific methodology. We had to bring in psychology, gamification, behavioral change theory. We had to adapt this to different personality types. And that's when we had Ronan Diego join the 10X team. Ronan Diego is the mind behind many great fitness programs in the world today, from Mindvalley's Beyond Fasting to advanced home workouts. And what I love about you, Ronan, is your ability to make training fun, to explain things, and to bring in behavioral change, habit formation, identity shifts, and influence the mind.
I appreciate it. I think that's the point of bringing a fitness system. It needs to be something that you see yourself doing, right? It needs to be something that you know what is behind. It's not only you following a instruction and having faith on what we say, but in knowing how your body works so you can make decisions on your own training and finding a way that fits your lifestyle. I wanted to see my parents doing it. So the methodology needs to be in a way that they would wake up and say, I am making the decision, I'm doing this all on my own.
Exactly. And we created something here that is really accessible for all. You do not even need a gym. And gyms are going to hate us for saying this, right? And that's why we really are going to do our best to present the proof. You can do 10x with nothing more than $20 worth of bands that you can buy on Amazon. And you do not need an hour-long fitness session. You can get it in 20 minutes. Now, the first idea that I want you guys to pay attention to is the concept of health span. Why do you want to get fit anyway? Well, it has to do with living healthier much, much, much longer. Lorenzo?
So the number one reason that why people should be here and why they should consider taking up exercise, whether 10x or not, but the reason people are here is because they know that their health and the quality of their life is directly proportionate to their health span. What is health span? Well, health span is just the concept of getting an understanding on how healthy we are on certain variables. And the reason we need to know how healthy we are on these variables, because they impact the quality of our life and how long we will live as a result. You see, the average person, our current life expectancy right now is roughly 78 for males and 81 years for females. The thing is, most people will never even reach that age because research now shows that about 80% of deaths are now attributable to cardiovascular disease, dementia, and cancer. And this happens specifically in people over the age of 50 who don't even smoke, right? So we really need to look at these three things. So if we're going to help people live longer, we really have to have the conversation around cardiovascular disease, cancer, and dementia. Now, what people don't know, if you want to double your risk to these three things, it's you need to preserve your metabolic health, because diabetes is the force multiplier to these diseases. Now, what does this have to do with exercise? Well, the number one way to prevent becoming insulin resistant and diabetic as a force multiplication for these diseases is for us to preserve our muscle mass, because this is going to retain our insulin sensitivity. It's to maintain our strength, because research shows a linear association between grip strength and how long we live. And number three, we also need to be preserving our bone strength. Why? Because the third leading cause of accidental deaths of individuals 65 years and older in the United States right now is falling. And that is as a result of not detecting osteopenia, low bone mass early enough. And the way that we can prevent that is, as you always say, Vishen, vegetables and strength training, right? And so there's a direct relationship in our ability to actually help people live longer and delay the onset of disease many, many years later. Now, let me make this point because it's so important to understand. Longevity is not about extending our diseases once we extract them. It's about it's about delaying their onset for many, many years later in the first place. And the way we do that, and that everyone has control over, is with exercise, but not just any exercise. Exercise that increases your strength and muscle mass, that increases your cardiovascular and muscular endurance, your metabolic health, your mobility, and these things. And this is why we're so excited to bring people this, because we want to show people the relationship between 10X and how it helps people do exactly that.
I love that explanation, Lorenzo. So what got me really excited about 10X is when Lorenzo explained this graph to me. I was around 40 then. Now look at that graph, look at the age 40 and look at the black line. And you'll notice something that will scare any 40-year-old. The black line, which measures your health, starts dropping after 40. And there's a science behind this and why, and we'll come to that in a moment. And Lorenzo explained to me, he says, look, you can't live forever. There will be a time when age is going to get to you. But what you can do is increase your health span to the gray line. Now, if you look at the gray line, you'll see that your average age goes from around 80 to 90. But that's not it. It's not just about adding 10 years to your life. Notice it's about adding more life to those years because you're healthier. If you observe the gray line, you'll see that with the right approach, someone who is 70 years old can be in the same health as the average 40-year-old. And that is what I'm going for. I'm 45, I'm going to be 70 someday. I want to be in the same health at 70 as where I am today. And all of us should want that. Because why should we accept aging when there is a way to increase our health span? Now, to go deeper, you need to understand the 4 biomarkers of health. So in the 10X approach, we are going to look at 4 different biomarkers, and we're going to look at how to increase your health in each of these biomarkers.
The real secret to fitness, to any fitness protocol, is to deliver these 4 things in a simple and effective way. But when you look at all the traditional and the popular fitness protocols that we have today, they have 2 major flaws that make that very complicated. The first problem is that there is an overwhelming amount of routines and different fitness techniques that someone has to do even to get started. If you want to get fit today, you see that you need to do, jogging 3 times a week, and then other 3 times you're lifting weights, and then you're doing yoga every day, and then there's the high intensity interval training in the weekends. Oh, you didn't even start and you're already overwhelmed with all the routines that you need to do. And the second problem that it gets is if you decide, okay, I'm gonna give myself this time to do this, and you start picking routines from trainers or YouTube, you see that they're all random and disconnected. They're all routines that don't compound on each other, and they take your body and your fitness into all different directions. So what you end is with a combination of random routines that are not evolving with you. If you or someone else going the same journey, you're gonna have the same exercises, even though there can be 2 different people with 2 different fitness levels. So our solution needs to address these 2 main problems. It needs to deliver all these 4 biomarkers in a way that is practical, in a way that is time efficient, and in a way that is pretty effective.
And in a way that grows with you.
In a way that evolves with you. As you get stronger, it evolves to adapt to where you are.
Okay, so now with that, let's move on to the next part of this masterclass. So first, I hope you guys understand, I want to get fit is a fuzzy word. Really, what you want is strength and muscle mass, body composition, cardio and muscular endurance, and mobility. That is what fitness is broken into. And I also want you to understand that getting fit is more than just looking good. It's about literally increasing your health span. It's about having, at 70, the body of an average 40-year-old. And this is possible in today's world. Now, how do you make the switch from the traditional methods and understandings of exercise to a scientific approach? Well, there are 3 things that you have to pay attention to and focus on.
The first one is to prioritize strength training, because there are too many ways of experiencing and developing fitness, but there's one type of exercise that drives all these 4 biomarkers at once. It's not mainly a cardio routine, it's not a stretching routine, it's a strength routine. Because by developing strength and muscle mass, you're driving your metabolism higher. By developing strength and muscle mass, you're increasing your possibilities for mobility. You are driving the capabilities of your body further. So if you're focusing on one type of exercise, this will be the type that drives all the biomarkers at once.
So to just add some weight to what Ronan said, right? Like, why should we make strength training the priority on your exercise list of priorities? Like, why should it be the number 1 exercise that you do? Well, in my research, what we looked at, I wanted to see that if people were to do different types of exercise, how it would impact the body. I gathered a lot of information and looked at how does the body respond to different types of exercise. And usually there's so many different types, but I wanted to look at 2 specific types, because right now the world is really dominated by 2 types of exercise modalities, aerobics or strength training. So what I did is I collected a lot of research and information and looked to see how does the body respond and adapt in terms of all the things we discussed earlier that are really important for health span over, let's say, a 3-month period. And so when we compared the 2, you'd actually see that resistance exercise improves your strength, no surprise there, by 25%. In aerobic strength, not only do you not improve your strength doing aerobic exercise, but you can lose strength. But why? Because as you do aerobics exercise, you lose muscle mass. That is, not only do you not improve in muscle mass in your aerobic training, but you can lose muscle mass. That's the number 1, tissue, the body tissue of interest that we want to preserve. And yet you can lose a lot of muscle mass as you do aerobics training. Your power also goes down with aerobics training. Your power goes up with resistance training. Of course, muscular endurance goes up. There's some relationship between aerobics training and muscular endurance, but not very, very high. As you can see here, 16% compared to 3%. You can see improvements of muscle mass of 9% over a 3-month period. And as I mentioned, your muscle mass decreases with aerobic training. Connective tissue improves. Bone mass improves over longer periods of time. In fact, there was one study that showed that your bone density can improve with running, but only in the lumbar spine. but not in the limbs, not in the arms and the legs and where they really matter, and specifically the hip area, because the highest frequency of fractures happens in the neck of the femur, right? And that's what we really want to preserve. Body fat also goes down with resistance training, not just in aerobics training. Motor performance goes up. Anaerobic peak measures go up by 14%. Why anaerobic? Because high intensity exercises uses the anaerobic energy system, right? Which, by the way, translates to aerobic efficiency as well, whereas aerobic training adaptations don't translate to these measures. And that is why it's so important. And Vishen, when I did this, it became so obvious that strength training was going to be the number one thing that I do, that my parents will do, that my friends do. I just had to get everyone, on strength training.
And here's the important thing about this meta-analysis, okay? So firstly, this is known information in multiple books, multiple studies. Why are people so obsessed with aerobics? It's cultural. Nike invented running and jogging in the 1960s. Prior to that, no one really jogged. Nike had to sell shoes. And then they were dance fitness classes that all emerged throughout America in the 1980s. There were movies like Flashdance with Irene Cara that popularized aerobics. And so aerobics became popular. But scientifically, it is not the optimal exercise. And there's a danger in aerobics and in jogging, and that is you lose muscle fiber. Your body is burning up muscle to produce the energy needed for this strenuous activity. But when you lose muscle, your basal metabolic rate goes down. And so you need to continue aerobics to burn fat. And if you stop, you put on weight.
Take a look at this artist rendering of what you could look like. Huh? Inspired yet?
Well, now, that is sexy. Yeah, I want to look like that.
Unfortunately, it probably won't last. In a few years, you could actually end up looking more or less like you did before.
Why? Who are you?
Oh, this is Dr. Kevin Hall. He's an expert on metabolism at the National Institutes of Health, and he conducted a 6-year study of contestants on The Biggest Loser.
Hey, Sam. Well, I can't speak to how they produce these shows. What I can tell you is that of the 14 contestants that we studied, 80% of them regained most of the weight that they'd lost.
But why? I don't understand. When you work out, you shed pounds.
When you go on one of these extreme diet and exercise programs, your body doesn't have enough food energy available, so it does burn body fat.
Right. Very thin-spiring.
Unfortunately, the body soon lowers its metabolism to offset that energy deficit. And that means that you'd have to keep exercising and dieting at this extreme rate just to maintain the weight loss.
So no one is saying give up on aerobics. If you enjoy it, great, but you gotta add strength training in addition to your aerobics so your body preserves muscle and you don't lose muscle. That's the key message here. Now let's go on to the second step. So the first step is prioritize strength training as number one. Number one, it has to be number one. If there's only one exercise you have to do, it has to be strength training. But there's a second step. Ronan?
The second step, Vishen, is to how you do this strength training. That we use a circuit protocol, circuit fashion. Because a lot of people will be thinking, hey, I want to develop my heart's ability, my cardiovascular fitness. If I am not doing as much cardio, how do I do that? But then if you pair the exercises, the strength training exercises all together in a circuit while you do not rest in between exercises, what you will see is that your heart rate increases. And because you're not taking 2 minutes in between exercises, going from one immediately to the other, you keep your heart rate up. At the end of a 15-minute strength training that uses a circuit method, not only you are really exercising your muscles, but your heart stayed up for all this time. So you are improving your cardiovascular fitness at the same time. Now, if you don't have the time to do all these routines in different days, you can pair them together. So now you're improving your cardiovascular fitness and you're making all your fitness regimen much more time efficient.
Exactly. Remember the 4 things? Fitness isn't just fitness. There are 4 components to it. Strength and muscle mass, body composition, cardio and muscular endurance, and mobility. And that's what's happening when you use a circuit method, which means you're going through the exercises rapidly in a circuit. And then we come to point number 3. Lorenzo?
So the third component is to apply art to your exercise. And art in this context stands for adaptive response training. Now, adaptive response training talks about the intensity of exercise. You see, okay, so imagine this. Imagine I asked you, you could only exercise for 1 minute per day, right? Imagine you only had a single minute to exercise and you had to make it the most productive minute in your life. How are you going to do that? Well, you may not be an exercise engineer, but I can imagine that you would think that, wow, if I'm gonna get a massive benefit from exercise, it has to be intense. It has to be really, really intense for it to be beneficial, right? So in order for us to create the shortest possible workout in the world, it has to reach a minimum threshold of intensity. And so the adaptive response training method is really finding the threshold of intensity that will allow you to get the maximum benefit from every second, every exercise you do during your workout.
In summary, the ideal exercise routine involves prioritizing these 3 items. The first is prioritize strength training. Look, if you want to do your yoga, if you want to jog, it's fine, do it. But you must ensure that strength training is part of your week. The second thing is the strength training protocol that you do has to be circuit training. And there's a unique process for it. We're going to come to that. We're going to teach you the 6 exercises to do in a gym or at home with bands, and the sequence, the specific sequence and timing in which to do it. And the third one is apply art, adaptive response training. Now, Lorenzo, I want to share this concept of what we mean by adaptive response training, right? Think about it this way, about the human biology. Imagine that we were animals and you are moving through the forest and a log falls on you, right? And you have to push that log off your chest. If the log is really, really, really heavy, okay, and you're putting all your strength to push it off your chest, you're giving a signal to your biology that you need to increase your muscle mass over here. Now, it doesn't matter if you're pushing that log for 1 minute or 1 hour. In 1 minute, it's enough to trigger, according to adaptive response training theory, 1 minute of that intenseness of pushing that log is enough to trigger the biological response that your body needs to improve its musculature. And that's what 10X is built on. Many of these exercises that you're going to see, the 6 routines, you're not doing them for 10 minutes each. You're doing them for a minute each. But every specific nuance of that minute is optimized. And again, there's science behind this. So have an open mind because we're about to take you on that journey.
Let's start with the first exercise. All these exercises, they are part of the basic Big 6 10X routine. And if you're doing only one routine, that's the routine that you are doing on a 10X program, and they are done in a specific order. The first exercise is a split squat if you're doing this at home, or a leg press if you're doing this in the gym. Let's see what it looks like.
But let's continue with the myth. And the first myth we're going to dispel is the myth of repetitions.
A lot of times we are doing an exercise and the first thing that a trainer tells you is a specific number of repetitions to accomplish. Now, you do this exercise for 10, for 14, or whatnot. What we are looking here is mostly achieving failure of the exercise. Failure is that point when your muscle gets so fatigued that you cannot complete a next repetition. Remember that we talked about the low and the high intensity training, and you can spend hours in the gym without getting results if you're doing something that is low intensity because it's not triggering your body's adaptive response capabilities. So what we're figuring out first is achieving failure. Now what you can control is the weight of that exercise, how hard you make, so you achieve failure in a certain number of repetitions. And this is when we aim to reach failure by more or less 12 repetitions. And the reason is that we have an analysis of all the exercise protocols that shows what happens if you reach failure with a very heavy weight, so you can only do 3 repetitions. What happens if you reach failure with a light weight, that it needs 30 repetitions for you to get there. And there's a sweet spot. There's like a magical spot on 12 repetitions. Because if you do something that's too heavy, over time, you overtax your central nervous system. You see that you get super tired in the next couple of days. If you reach failure with a very low weight, it takes forever and it is a very metabolic taxing. It hurts a lot for the results that you want. So if you're looking for something that is efficient, that is time efficient, and gives you longevity of training, then we're going to use a weight that reach failure at more or less 12 repetitions.
And that's the magic number 12. If you want to go deeper into that science, it's covered in depth in the 10x Quest on Mindvalley.
Let's move to exercise number 2. We move on now to the upper body to work the back muscles. This is the lat pull down. If you are in the gym, if you're doing this at home, you can either do a pull-up or a bended lat pull down. This is what it looks like.
And now we come to the second myth, the myth of the set model. Lorenzo?
So one of the key features of 10x is that you only need to do one set per exercise to failure. And this sounds like a revolutionary idea, but it shouldn't. Why? Because everyone has been conditioned to still do multiple sets of training. There are cases where multiple sets can be useful, but it is not necessary. In fact, we have science now shows that single set exercise protocols can be just as effective as multiple sets. So you get the same results, but in only one set. Where does this idea come from that we have to do multiple sets? You see, in the 40s, there was a physician by the name of Thomas DeLorme, and he was working with a lot of the post-World War II veterans and helping them with rehabilitation. And the reason most people do 3 sets is because what he did was he actually helped people to, through progressive resistance exercise, get stronger as a way to accelerate their rehabilitation. But as you can imagine, these are people who are at lower levels of functional ability. So he had to start them at lower weights. So the first set he did experimentally with some of these veterans were done at a very lower weight. So the first set was usually a warm-up set. And then the second set was a little bit heavier. And so that would work people up to the final and third set, which was the actual set that made a big difference. And so everyone thought, oh, everyone should do 3 sets in order to get a minimum result. And we now know that that is not how the body works. The body is not an accountant trying to count the number of reps or number of sets and then gives you a magical number. That's not how the body works. How the body works is based on the first thing that we talked about, and that is going to failure. Failure within 1 minute, 12 repetitions is all you need, if you do it right, to trigger the adaptive response in order to get the benefit you want.
In fact, Vishen, we have the most recent analysis of scientific studies looking into single set versus multiple sets. Shows that after you do your first set, all the additional sets that double or even triple your effort, they don't double or triple your results. Doing 2 or 3 extra sets only give your results a 46% boost. So you're giving triple the time, triple the effort, but only getting 46% more. Right. If you have something that is efficient in the minimum effective dose, you're gonna get the 80% of all your results in one single set.
Exactly. And so, and the 12 repetitions that you're doing are done in 5 seconds, and there's a specific style to it. And so it's literally 1 minute per exercise. 1
minute per exercise, 80% of all the results that you can get.
Amazing. Now let's go on to the third exercise.
The third exercise is also for the upper body, but instead of being a pulling exercise, it's a push. We are working on the shoulders, on the chest, on the triceps. If you're doing this at home, it will be a form of push-up. If you're doing this in the gym, it will be a form of chest press. This is what it looks like.
And now we come to the next myth, which is the myth of speed. You'll notice that these exercises are done in a super slow way. Ronan, why is that?
There are a couple of advantages that uses a slow tempo for each one of the repetitions. The first one is that increases safety for the exercises. You know, the super slow method was developed in people that had osteoporosis, and they could not do something that was too intense. And so by decreasing the speed, you can get the same stimulus in your muscle mass with a lower weight, because now you're spending more seconds in that repetition. So that is one of the things that it does. The second thing, that increases the quality of repetitions, the quality of work. You see this in the gym, a lot of people doing fast repetitions and they're like jerking the weight. And not only they're not targeting their muscles, but they're also increasing their likelihood for injury. So now you're getting more quality of muscle contraction. And then you are increasing the time under tension that your muscle fibers are under. In a normal set, in a normal strength training protocol, you do 12 repetitions, each one takes 2 seconds. So at the end, all the amount of time that your muscles are under tension is 24 seconds. One set of 10x takes this to 60. It's like one set that is equivalent to 3 sets done in a traditional model. So now you see that you are maximizing the results that you get per minute of exercise.
Amazing. I love that explanation. And this was a real belief shaker for me. It completely transformed the way I was working out in the gym. So I was doing the traditional style for almost a decade. I have a gym in the condo I lived in. So I would do my 3 sets. I would do it the way I learned it from my fitness trainer. And what I found is, because I'd been tracking my data on my fitness app for a long time, since around 2011, I noticed that I was stagnating. And so I thought, okay, I'm just doing this to preserve my body. But when I switched to 10X, that's when I noticed my strength started going up dramatically. At the end of the first month, I was exercising less than I was before, but I saw a total strength increase of 50% across all of these exercises.
You're doing muscle contraction with much more
quality. So, Ronan, at this point, I want to ask you a question. As you're teaching people to do these exercises, I noticed there's a count, right? And in the 10X program, when you guys enroll in the program, you get a metronome that keeps you on the count. But I noticed that it is 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3. Why do you take longer on the negative?
That happens because we have 2 types of muscle contraction when you're doing an exercise. We have a positive and negative. Positive is when you're making an effort, and negative is when you're controlling the release of the weight. When you are in the negative part, there's a 30% increase on your strength. And so we are spending more time there because your muscles are stronger, so we are increasing the return out of the effort. We're putting more effort in the time in the mechanical position that your muscles are stronger.
Right, and that study is cited in Doug McGuff's book, Body by Science.
That's right.
So now let's go on to the next myth, which is the calorie expenditure myth.
So this myth is speaking about the fact that usually a lot of people are using exercise to burn an amount of calories. But hey, if you look at the way that your body uses energy, you see that there's not a very effective way of using exercise for. Now this chart is showing all the energy that your body spends in 24 hours. You see that 70% of that is called BMR, basal metabolic rate. It's your metabolism, in other words, what happens when your body is working on autopilot. The second biggest portion of calorie expenditure is called NEAT, is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's all the calories that you burn to move your body, to stand up and sit down, to move your hands, to blink, and all the things that are not a purposeful workout. Then 10% of all the calories your body burns in 24 hours corresponds to TEF. This is thermic effect of food. It is the energy that you spend to digest the food that you just ate. And then the tiniest amount of energy that your body burns in a day is called EAT, E-A-T, exercise activity thermogenesis. It corresponds to 5% of all the calories that you burn, and this is the calories that you burn from working out. So if you are killing yourself to really increase that amount of calories that you burn in a workout, all this work is maybe bringing this 5% to 6%. But there's a much better option. You see that 70% is your metabolic rate. What if you could increase that from 70 to 75? And this is what you can do with strength training. Because by developing more muscle mass, you now have a body that has a higher metabolic rate, a higher BMR. So exercise is not to bring the 5% to 6, it's to bring your muscle mass to a much higher level that will bring the 70% to 75, the 70% to 80%.
Right, and this is the big thing that so many people don't get. They think exercise is about burning calories. It's not. It's absolutely not. Exercise is about creating an adaptive response in your body, ideally an adaptive response where your musculature is growing. And the more muscles you have, the more calories you burn even when you're sleeping. That is the secret to great health. We have to stop the lie that it's about calories. And this lie has been perpetuated by, this lie originally started with the food industry. The food industry has been pushing people to eat unhealthy things and telling them, oh, eat this cupcake, and then go take a run and you'll burn it off. And the impact of these lies on society has been really, really damaging.
Yeah, and to make another benefit people should keep in mind is that exercise tells the body where all the excess calories that you eat go. So don't think of exercise as a way to burn calories. Exercise, particularly strength training, is a signal to tell the body where the excess calories should go. Am I storing towards fat or am I building muscle? Exercise makes that difference. It tells your body where the excess calories go, fat or muscle. So strength training is a signal for calories to go to build muscle.
Right, and the key thing over here is build muscle. Even if you're a woman, build muscle. You won't get bulked up. That muscle is the secret. And that's what we need to focus on. And now we come to the final myth, and that is the myth of aerobics. Why do people do aerobics? Because of this outdated idea of calorie burning. And as you can be getting to see, that is not the point. But look at this meta-analysis again. Aerobics, if you're not doing strength training, you're telling your body that it doesn't need muscle. And so aerobics starts burning away type 2 muscle fiber. But remember, muscle is what increases your basal metabolic rate. So if you overdo aerobics without strength training, your basal metabolic rate goes down, which means you have to keep doing aerobics. Otherwise, you start putting on weight. Aerobics, when done without strength training, can be bad for your body. Now, this isn't just us saying it. In the classic book, Body by Science, the doctor, Doug McGuff, goes on to say that certain forms of exercise, aerobic-based, such as jogging, are actually what he calls negative exercise. Because not only is it mostly useless, but he goes on to say that jogging can cause problems in your knees and your bones as you age. He suggests you don't even bother with it. Yet every gym has thread mills. Gyms have exercise bikes. And you see that these are often the equipment that people are using over weights, especially women. 87% of American women prioritize aerobics over strength training. This is wrong. And it's slowing down the potential for health and fitness that you can actually aspire to because of how aerobic training reduces your musculature. This is the myth of aerobics. Please feel free, and I know this is going to challenge a lot of people's beliefs. Please feel free to dig into the research and judge for yourself. We go a lot more into the research in the full 10X program with Mindvalley. Lorenzo, will you explain this graph, why we age?
So many people may not know this, but as we age, we lose roughly 3 to 5% of muscle every decade. Okay, that translates to about 300 grams of muscle every year from the age of 25. That's 3 kilos per decade. Now, in conjunction with that, we lose about 10% of our strength. So we become weaker and we don't feel that every decade. That's 1% loss in strength every year. The next thing we lose as a result of that as well is about 75 milligrams of our bone we lose every decade. That's 3 to 5% in bone loss every year. And also, this is asymptomatic, meaning we don't feel this. If we don't feel it, we don't know it until we actually test for it. The last, but perhaps one of the most important thing is that we pick up fat as we lose muscle. So roughly 500 grams to 1 kilo of fat that we pick up and perhaps replace muscle with every decade. Now, these numbers are so startling because number one, people can actually know what their numbers are. Number two, we actually track the rate of mitigation of the things that we lose as we age. Now, remember, minimum effective dose means that we want to find what was the minimum amount of exercise we needed to offset the losses, right? This is so exciting. The minimum amount of exercise that you have to do per week to offset the loss in muscle. So if you lose about 300 grams of muscle per year, 1 month of strength training completely mitigates 1 year's loss of muscle. And that is the key, that's the most important point that people need to realize. 4 workouts or a 1 month's training will offset the amount of muscle that you lose every year.
Exactly. Now, why is it that we don't do that? It's because we think exercise has to be hard and it has to take hours. And even when we put in this hard hours, we're doing the wrong form of exercise. But if we do the right form of exercise, strength training, in a circuit fashion, applying ART to it, this is when you mitigate the effects of aging. Now, what happens when you put all of this together? Let's observe this case study. What you're seeing here is a woman from the US military. Now, again, she is a member of the US military, so she has been doing all sorts of regular workouts, and when she got on 10X, that is when her body transformed. She was a private coach of Lorenzo, just like I was, and one of the things Lorenzo had to do was have a DEXA scan every month. To preserve her identity, we're just going to call her Mary. This is the photo Mary sent us. You can see her body shape transformation. She went from 43% body fat to 23% body fat. In 6 months, she gained 5 pounds of muscle, lost 40 pounds of fat. And here's the crazy thing, as you'll see in the interview. She exercised no more than 40 minutes a week. Watch this interview.
I feel like in the past I would do workouts, go to the gym 2-3 hours. I never noticed any difference in my body. It never changed. And so when I started this in January, I started with a broken toe. We still found ways to make it work. So these results are not even from running. They're really from the 10X program. You go to the scale and I would work out and be happy and think that, I probably lost 5 pounds. I get on the scale and there were weeks where it said, hey, you gained a pound. I'm like, how is that possible? My clothes are fitting looser. I go to the DEXA scan, it says, you lost half a pound of fat and you gained 1.8 pound of muscle.
Love that.
And it was such a great win because just reading the scale alone, you don't get that level of detail.
So I hope you found that thrilling. We have so many case studies like that. And I want you to pay attention to something. Observe this DEXA scan of Mary, and you will understand why we have to stop obsessing about weight. We have to stop obsessing about weight. It's not about getting on that weighing scale and seeing that you've lost pounds. Because if you lost muscle, that's not good. Lorenzo, explain why this DEXA scan of Mary is so important and the key message here.
The key message is so important, Vishen, that people only use weight. Okay, people go to the gym and the way that they judge the quality of exercise is with time. I spent 60 minutes exercising. Time tells you nothing about the quality of exercise. Likewise, people use scales as a way to judge the quality of the effect of the exercise. Oh, I haven't lost weight or I have gained weight. Throw the scale out. Your weight tells you nothing about the actual compositional changes that you want. The scariest thing is when you ask someone to go do a DEXA scan and for the first time, they actually see the relative fat and muscle that they carry on their bodies. And this is shocking because your body shape may not change as you age, but when you do a DEXA scan, the scariest thing, Vishen, is when you see that your body fat is going up, and you're losing muscle, but your body shape may not change. So you don't see that there's big changes going on. But a DEXA scan will show you exactly the rate at which you're picking up fat as you age and how much muscle that you're losing. And this is something we absolutely have to protect people against because it is asymptomatic, meaning we don't feel we're losing muscle and getting weaker. We don't feel that we're picking up way more fat. Unless obviously you get to a certain point, we can see that we're getting bigger, but the average person doesn't even realize that they are losing muscle and replacing it with fat as we get older. That's why this DEXA scan is so important because it has nothing to do with the weight, meaning you can weigh the same, but you can be over fat and under muscled, and we want to protect against that. We want to restore people's health so that they can have a normal or a fit level of muscle mass. And that's what we call the 10X body. We talk about the amount of muscle people should have and the amount of fat percentage that people should target.
I also want to share this point for those of you watching who are women. Many women are afraid of doing 10X because they wonder if it's going to make them bulky. Ronan?
This is one of the reasons why women tend to choose cardiovascular fitness training over strength training. They believe if they touch weights, they're going to wake up with a big biceps the next day, right? But and this idea comes from usually bodybuilding competitors, female competitors, that need the usage of exogenous hormones to build the amount of testosterone that they get. But 10X is not something that will guide you there because it's a natural way of developing your body. Instead of building bulky muscles, what you see is that effect of toning the muscle body. So here is a couple of pictures that we see before and after of women who did the 10X protocol, and you see that it's quite different. You develop a more feminine body. You develop muscles that are more elongated in a body that looks in a way that most women want their body to look.
Thank you. Thank you for addressing one of the primary concerns of women. You are not going to bulk up. Rather, you're going to get more toned. Now I want to address the next concern. And I want to address this with a story of my father. And this concern is, I'm over 50. Is this safe for me? So 10X was designed in such a way where safety is a key part of the protocol. And in fact, after I got the dramatic results I had, I put my father on 10X. My dad, Mohan, was 70 years old when he started 10X. And what you're seeing in this video is a dramatic result of, so when you start 10X, you do a little test of your strength. And then when you finish, every month you do a test. This is after 1 month, okay? So Mohan, my father, during that 1 month, did 10X twice a week, 20 minutes, then 20 minutes, so about 40 minutes a week. At the end of that 1 month, check out his strength increase.
Push, 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 push. 140.
Wow.
And come down. Come down, don't do another rep. You can? 2 reps. 2 RM on 140 kgs. Come back down and relax. Relax completely. One more, and push. 3 reps on 140. How's that, Vishen?
Amazing.
How's that?
Amazing.
3 reps on your
What was his
weight.
previous weight?
80.
80.
Yeah.
So from 80 kilograms to 150 kilograms in 4 weeks.
140.
140. 80 to 140 in 4
80
weeks.
to 140 in 4 weeks.
Amazing.
Yeah, awesome.
So I love that video. But my dad went from being able to leg press around 85 kilograms to 140 kilograms. But it was so amazing, his reaction after that. He had difficulty walking upstairs, and he could walk up the stairs to his bedroom again easily without tiredness. He told me, I feel so strong. I feel like if you give me a phone book, I could rip it in half. And I had to say, Dad, let's not go there yet.
We don't have phone book anymore.
We don't have phone books anymore. But it was amazing to see the result this had on my father. And so many people are now embracing 10X.
So the 10X solution was this. It was to safely stimulate the largest possible adaptive response in strength, hypertrophy, osteogenesis, endurance, and insulin sensitivity in a single and the shortest possible workout. And what do I mean by that? Well, hypertrophy is muscle growth. Osteogenesis is your bone health. Insulin sensitivity is your metabolic health or your glucose homeostasis, how you regulate energy. That is so important.
Brilliant. So for you science geeks out there, you understand where this is coming from. Now let's look at how the 10X approach is different from regular resistance training. Lorenzo?
Okay, so the first thing that makes it different is that 10X is focused on longevity and not performance. And that's important because we're thinking about people's entire lifespan. We're not just thinking about competition or being the best. Number 2, it only requires 30 minutes per week instead of 3 hours per week. Number 3, you only require 1 to 2 workouts per week to get the same results. Whereas most other traditional programs, you have to do at least 3 to 5 sessions per week to get the same results. Point number 4, 10X is more practical, meaning more people can learn these exercises in more situations regardless of fitness level, whereas most other traditional resistance exercise programs require you to learn expert skills to be able to get the benefit from those exercises. 10X, therefore, is much safer compared to other traditional methods. Why? Because they are done in competitive environments. 10X is done with you and you alone. You're competing with yourself. Number 6, 10X has shown to also improve your cardiovascular endurance, whereas other traditional resistance exercise programs do not.
Amazing. So at this point, you can choose to take everything you've learned here and try to put all your notes together and go to the gym and figure this out yourself. And I bet you're going to get some decent results, but maybe you want to go further. What I want to suggest you do is enroll in our 10X 90-day program and let Ronan and Lorenzo and our team of trainers guide you day by day by day for 90 days into a total body transformation. There are a couple of really beautiful things about this program. Firstly, you're not going to the gym or working out every single day. In between workouts, Ronan and Lorenzo are actually going to teach you the science of health. You're going to learn what works, what doesn't work. They bring in so much scientific studies, and they are such great teachers. And what you find is that your awareness of your body, your relationship with your body changes. They don't just work with the exercise routines, they go deep into the nuances, into every single aspect of the exercise. If you did the routine that we just showed you, what's going to happen is you're going to peak after a couple of weeks, and you're going to have to modify the routine to give yourself the next spurt in growth of your musculature. So this routine that you learned for free will work, and it's definitely going to make a difference, but you will hit that peak as your body adjusts to it. And that's why this is a 90-day program, because every week we adapt the routine, and we adapt the routine, and we adapt the routine. And thus, your body adapts and becomes stronger and stronger. Take a look at these case studies.
Now, I want you to understand one thing about our Mindvalley programs. You don't have to make up your mind right now. You can enroll in this program, test it out, and anytime in the next 15 days, with one click, cancel your purchase and get a full unconditional refund. All you have to do is click on your account page on the Mindvalley platform, click on the refund button, and that's it. You are never obligated to buy a program. You can test it out. You can see the video. You can even go through practically half the program, because you can give yourself a refund in 15 days with one click. So you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Now, if you are buying a house or buying a car, you would obviously test drive things, right? I encourage you to do the same here. Scroll down below, click enroll so you can take advantage of the enrollment discount. Explore the program as much as you want in the next 15 days. Cancel and get your refund. You can apply your refund to another Mindvalley program, or you can just keep it. All the information is on mindvalley.com/refund. If you look at the pricing for this program, you will see why the vast majority choose to become a member rather than buy an individual program. Just a few $100 extra. But you don't just get one program, you get over 50 programs on Mindvalley instantly available for you. You can go through a new program every month, or do 2 programs in a month and up-level yourself in 24 unique areas of life in the coming year. But that's not all. Membership also means that you get access to Mindvalley live events with so many special guests.
What's happening here?
You're on our private social network. You're in a network of fellow members, and these are such incredible individuals. And we have memberships now in every country in the world.
You get on our private social network. And here's why this is really cool. You know how it's sometimes fun to go to the gym with friends? Well, on our private social network, you can find other 10X members near you within a 100-mile radius. And you can reach out to them, strike up a conversation of friendship with them, and have a gym buddy. This is so useful. There's also a 10X community where people are constantly sharing their progress, their ideas, and tips. It is a thriving and beautiful community that's growing and growing and growing. And by the way, before Ronan I have you explain the 12-week outline, I want to let you know that we have a special 10X class starting on July 12th, 2021. This is our super class. It happens maybe once a year or once every 6 months. And in this super class, you're not just getting the 10X program that we're about to show you. Lorenzo and Ronan come on live to train you. So you get direct connection with them and thousands of other 10X members. So this class is designed as a challenge. Thousands of people are going to be joining together, kicking it off on July 12th on a 90-day journey to get the body of their dreams. And I'm so excited to have you join. If you see me in this video talking about this class, it means there's still time to sign up. We close enrollment on July 11th. Now, the only way to get all of these bonuses is to sign up before July 11th. If you sign up after July 11th, then you miss the July 12th 10X 90-day challenge, and you can still get 10X for the same price, but it'll just be recordings. The live calls are gone, so don't miss this. Now, before we go any further, let's actually give you a tour of the program and show you what's being unlocked for you week by week. Ronan?
Let's do it. It's a 12-week program, and as we said, it evolves with you. So how it starts? On week 1, you learn all the basic exercises, and you do your fitness assessment, so you can compare the beginning and the end of the quest. On week 2 and week 3, you are learning the two basic routines. One of them is close to what you learn in this masterclass, but then there's another concentrated routine that gives a different stimulus to your body, so you can break plateaus with that. At the same time, you start learning the science of nutrition for fitness. You know, what you should eat and how you feel your body to recover, so you can build strength and muscle mass through the nutrition part of the whole program as well. Then from weeks 5 to 7, you start to learn advanced techniques. So you learn isolation exercises and isolation workout routines, because some people say, hey, I love the idea of the minimum effective dose, but I actually want to go a little bit beyond and focus on my biceps or focus on my glutes. How do you do that? We teach you that as well. So you can break plateaus if that's part to your goal. From weeks 8 to week 11, now you are designing your own program. You learned all the routines and exercise. You learn the science behind, and you learn how to design a program that fits your own lifestyle, depending on the goals that you have for after the 12 weeks are done. In the last week of 10X, you are now doing the fitness tests once more and measuring your results. All the way you learn all the exercises, all the different routines, including the advanced exercises and routines. You learn all the nutrition and the sleep and recovery aspects that will boost your results, that increase the speed of muscle mass development. And now you are equipped to adapt this routine to your own goals and to your own lifestyle.
Thank you, Ronan. Thank you, Lorenzo. I hope you guys enjoyed this class. I hope you guys gained a ton out of this. Please invite your friends to attend this class, because we are really all about increasing human health and well-being. And for those of you who are enrolling, we welcome you as Mindvalley members. We can't wait to get you started with the 10X Quest and to be part of our global membership community that's growing into the millions. So I'm really excited. Someday, I can't wait to see your case study on our website. Thank you, Ronan. Thank you, Lorenzo. It's been a really fun class. Thank you all for joining. Scroll down, enroll, and I can't wait to see you as our newest 10X student.
See you in the quest.